Hey there, happy Sunday, how's it going? It's me, Amanda, and I'm back with video 5 in my latest 5-part series about how to deal with noisy neighbors, especially important as we're quarantining together and kind of stuck in places. It can feel really stressful and maddening, and so I wanted to offer this support because I've dealt with it for years and found a lot of peace around it, which doesn't surprise anyone more than me because I was miserable. So if I can get better, hopefully I can help make your life a little better, and that's what I'm up to here. Um, and so for these videos, I've been drawing from your comments that you've left before, because I've done videos like this before, specifically about dealing with noisy neighbors. And I feel like this comment that I'm going to share with you today is a really good way to kind of wrap up this series, because it really gets down to why I think we even bother with this work at all, right? Like, some people are just at war with other people in the world and they're okay with that. I mean, look around at our political climate, look around at your neighbors, look around at other people. For some people, they don't even question that, right? Like it's just their paradigm. It's how they view the world, that we're just at odds with each other. There's people I like, there's people I don't like, and I've got to fight you if we don't get along. And that is a way to live for sure. But these videos are for people who want to step out of that, and it is possible to step out of that. Um, and yeah, there's a way to live where we're not antagonized and abraded all the time, and where we can actually be the change that we want to see in the world and kind of let that spread around. And I really believe in that. So it starts with me, right? It starts in my own backyard. It starts when I'm getting feel like I'm going to flip my fucking wig because the neighbors are playing loud bassy music. Like, we get to bring these kind of practices into every moment of our lives. And this, I've learned, it was one of my most painful points, dealing with noisy neighbors. And now it's become just like the biggest place of my own growth and practice and development. So yeah, I don't know. Check it out. If this is what you're into, if you're into like being at peace and being happier and being of more service in the world, that's the jam around here. So I welcome you. If this is your first time here and you're struggling, definitely check out the other videos and stay tuned to the end of this video. I'll try not to make it too long. I'm shooting for like the 10-15 minute range to give you a heads up. And stay tuned because I've got 3 exciting announcements at the end, and I'm really looking forward to sharing them with you. So here we go. Someone left a comment and they said, "You have just explained what I'm going through." This was about, I think this was on my first noisy neighbors situation video. "It's not the first time. I ended up moving from my home of 26 years just to get away from very nasty, very noisy neighbors." Put a pin in that word nasty because I'm going to talk about that. "I moved to the place I am now, did all this work around it." I'm kind of paraphrasing a little. "So my neighbor downstairs has moved her friend and infant child into her 1-bedroom rented apartment, and the noise from the infant crying and screaming all throughout the day and night has been horrendous. Just a massive explosion of noise, and of course loud music, just to put a bit more spice to the horror." I liked that. Not that you're dealing with that, commenter. I feel for you. God, I feel for you. I've been there. But I just like how you worded that. Like, yeah, it's fucking horrifying when you're in it and you're trying to live your life. So this person said, "I'm glad I came across your video, as now I know I am not alone and that people are feeling and going through the same as me." So yeah, that's true. This is also why I want to do this stuff, because you're not alone, and especially you're not alone in feeling so crazy about it. That was a big thing that I wanted to share, and also get some validation for myself around this too. Like, I won't lie, a lot of this has been self-motivated and just trying to seek for my own understanding and peace and happiness. Is like, am I the only one that gets this nuts about this stuff? And I'm not. And we can help each other through this shit. Yeah, I felt almost shame around being that upset by it. Like, I thought if I was a better person, I could just be chill or, whatever. And that's just not how it works. And I had to work on myself. And now I am much more chill. But just, you're not alone if it's driving you nuts. And there is comfort sometimes in just knowing that you're not alone. And not even, if anything, something doesn't necessarily have to change or be fixed, but just being like, hey, I'm not alone. That can be a really helpful thing. Excuse me. Okay, I also wanted to share around the idea of these are very nasty, noisy neighbors. This commenter did a pretty good job, like wasn't talking too much shit about these neighbors, but it reminded me of where a lot of my suffering came from in dealing with my noisy neighbors. And my thinking around it is what I understood. One thing I came to realize was very painful for me was that I was judging them so harshly. And we think we're just stating a fact about a person. Like, well, they're inconsiderate and they're pieces of shit and they're shitheads and they're doing this and this and they're wrong and they're breaking the lease or they're whatever. Um, at first, I felt like I was getting some kind of a good feeling in my judgments. Like I'm sure we can all relate to this experience of like, I'm right and you're wrong. And it's kind of a self-righteous thing, but it's a temporary high I found for myself. And ultimately what I found is that when I was judging other people really harshly and thinking negative thoughts about them, it was really only affecting me. And this might get a little woo for some people, but I really do believe this, and it's part of what I'm working with, and part of what I believe is that we are all one, essentially. And I do believe in that idea of if we're judging another person, we're actually judging ourselves. And not necessarily in a moral sense of like, I used to understand it in the Bible as like, oh, judge not lest ye be judged. Like if you judge this person, then you're going to get in trouble and you're sinning. And it's not like that. It's that because we are all connected, we're all just people doing the best we can. If I'm holding on to a really negative thought about a fellow human, however much I think they deserve it, it's still boomeranging around and hitting me in the ass because it's just painful to think a shitty thought about your fellows. That's been my experience. Again, not everyone's there yet, but this is what I want to kind of challenge people with and sort of stretch. And this is what I challenged myself with. And on the other side of this understanding has been a lot more serenity. So, nothing is ever done to anyone else without me feeling it as well. And so if I could figure that out, then I could start to look at my own judgments of people and start to let those go. The other way I noticed that judging affected myself, like it wasn't just me judging someone else, but I was hurting myself in it, is when I explored my harsher judgments and I noticed how I was actually holding them onto myself. So I did an exercise once that looked at the things I really hated the most about the people that were being noisy in my apartment. And then I looked to see if there were qualities that I was actually jealous of or not allowing for myself. And what I discovered was, yeah, I was keeping myself a lot smaller and quieter than I actually wanted. I play guitar and I was like shy about doing that where other people could hear me. If I had friends over, I was so worried about being a good neighbor or whatever. But really, it wasn't so much that I was a good neighbor. It was that I had been judging the other one so harshly. So I didn't want to be the loud neighbor too. So then I was like holding myself quieter than maybe I would have really liked to authentically express myself. Like maybe I would have liked to laugh a little more loudly with my friends or enjoy some music or dancing during the day when the mood struck. And it wouldn't have been the end of the world. And it wouldn't even have meant that I was a bad neighbor. It just meant like this is how we're expressing ourselves in our homes. And it actually is appropriate for this time. But because I had all these harsh judgments on my neighbor, then for fear of being a hypocrite or something, I had to make sure I was really towing this rigid line that I'd created for everyone. And that just made me live kind of a pinched off life. So that was really worth looking at. And I encourage you to do that as well. If you find that your noisy neighbor experience has you in a lot of like hatred and finger pointing and judging, I have a background in a 12-step recovery program, and we talk a lot about how when you're pointing a finger, you've got 3 pointing back at you. So just again, try this on. As with all these videos, this might not resonate with you or this might not completely pertain to your situation. But if you're feeling bold, if you're feeling adventurous, if you just are feeling open to it, just see if this stuff applies to you and see if there is any truth in that and if it's something you want to work with. And if not, fucking check it and check out the next video. I also really thought it was worth looking at this idea of this commenter brought up the idea of there was an infant child in the home who was screaming and crying. And that one's tough because it's just as stressful. Like it can almost be more stressful hearing a baby screaming. I've lived through that too, and it sucks. And it also sucks because what can you do? Like the baby's not doing anything wrong. You can't bang on the door and say, shut that baby up. I'm sure people do that, but that's not helpful, right? So I had a situation like that recently where someone had a dog And this dog just cried and barked all day, all night. And it was awful. And my heart hurt for this dog. And I was also furious, and I was hurting for myself because I had to listen to it. And it just all around sucked, right? And then of course I was judging the neighbors too, because I'm like, you're not even supposed to have a dog. And if you get a dog, you should take care of it. Like I had all these judgments and ways things should be. And I finally, in desperation, called someone and was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm so miserable about this barking dog. And she got quiet, and then she was like, what if you wrote prayers for the dog on Post-its and put them all over your house? And I was like, what? That was amazing to me. I loved that idea. I'm a big put stuff on Post-its all around the house kind of person anyways. But there was something about when she said that, it got me out of myself. It got me back into compassion for something else, for a living thing. And it got me into like, yeah, how does this poor dog feel, right? Like in my anger and my stress, I don't even think about what this dog is going through, or else I do, but still in a way to serve my own outraged, indignant, self-righteous anger, right? But when she said, why don't you try thinking of some prayers for the dog? I just thought that was beautiful and sweet. And then it became like a fun task for me. Like when I heard the dog, I was like, ooh, what can I pray for the dog to have, today? Like just peace, or just thinking about petting it, like visualizing this poor dog who's lonely or sad or trapped or whatever, and just being like, how would I take care of that dog? And I don't know why my neighbors are leaving the dog there, but praying for them as well. And that helped so much. And I don't know if it was connected or not. I like to think that it was, but whatever, coincidence or not, a couple days later, the dog was gone and I never heard it again. So it was interesting and it helped a lot. So yeah, try something like that. I also think it's really helpful to assume the best about people. Again, this idea that we are benefiting from hating other people, it's a false comfort. If we do feel any comfort at all in that, it's false, and it really doesn't feel that good if you're honest with yourself, I believe. So it can be difficult, but I have found a lot of help when I just try to assume the best about someone. Like maybe they're not, I've seen this in the comments where they're like, my neighbors are intentionally dropping shit on the floor at night to piss me off. And I'm like, maybe you live underneath some person who really is that vindictive, but most likely they just accidentally dropped something. I remember one morning I was making coffee and my boyfriend's like, what's all that ruckus? And it was just opening sugar packets. I had 3 sugar packets and I was opening them and putting them in my coffee. But because he didn't know what it was, it just sounded like this funny, loud hubbub this ruckus I was making. And I think that can happen when we're in our apartments too, where we're like, we don't know what it is, and we find the sound unpleasant, and we're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what can it be? They must be doing this on purpose, right? But often, even just innocent walking or dropping a hairbrush or something, dropping a fork, like it can kick up a lot of fucking noise, and it's not intentional. They're probably not trying to piss you off. And even if they are, you really don't know that for sure. Even if they said, I am doing this to piss you off, I hate you, that still has more to do with them than with you, and you can still choose how you want to think about them. And I really have found that when I think the highest, best thought about other people, I end up feeling a lot better. And so what I really wanted to wrap up this series with and wrap up this video with is that this isn't about being right, and this isn't about what other people are doing at the end of the day. This is for me ultimately about the kind of person that I want to be. Who do I want to be? And like I said, you can look around at the world, and I've had commenters that don't like my videos because they're like, you're weak for practicing acceptance. It's bullshit. Like, grow a spine, just stand up for yourself, all this shit. And that is one way. Like, I was reading comments on here about people that went back and forth with broomsticks, banging on the ceiling. And I've been that person too. I have. But it didn't end up working for me. And I didn't like who I was when I was living that way. And so what I hope to share and just add my 2 cents about is just, if you're tired of living that way, like that sort of like at odds with the world, antagonized, abraded, like tense, angry, you always have the freedom and option to live that way, for sure. But I got really miserable there, and I started to want another way. And so this isn't that I'm better than anyone else. It's just like I found a lot more peace and calm within myself and a lot more humor. My God, I love having humor around this stuff now. Like, things just aren't that serious. And what it comes down to for me too is learning to live in integrity. And that's about like wholeness for me. And figuring out what my values are, and then really practicing living in alignment with those, and really striving to understand like what this higher power thing is about and what God wants for me and from me in the world. And when I'm just fucking angry and feeling attacked all the time, I'm just not living that kind of awesome life that I believe I came here to live. So yeah, I just think we came here to have fun and to party, and not party with loud music and pissing off our neighbors, but be joyful and be light and be good to each other and laugh and things like that. And yes, there's suffering and pain in the world, but we don't have to create more of it for ourselves and in our homes. And when we are in an experience where we feel like it's happening to us, it's being done to me, I really want to challenge you to turn into it and lean into it and just see if there's another way to look at it, and just see what opens up for you there. Because I have found a whole new world of sorry, freedom and peace in fucking practicing living that way. So that's really what I want for people, is to just get stoked, get happy, be who you came here to be, which is way more powerful than anything that you think is happening to you. Okay. All right, I guess that's it. I think I've rambled long enough about this certain thing. Please feel free to keep commenting. Reach out to me in my email. I feel like these videos are useful in helping folks right now because, especially because of the quarantine, but even before that and probably after that, this is something that is a painful point for a lot of us. So please feel free to reach out. And on that note, let me hit you with my special announcements that I've been so excited to tell you all. So first of all, I want to thank you for being here, for watching these videos, for subscribing, for those of you who have. I am an amateur here at this, but I am earnest, and I have a lot that I want to share and help out with and support you in. So thank you for showing up, and those of you who encourage me and participate, as like, I love the idea of this turning into a community where we're supporting each other. And so those of you who do leave comments and stuff, I think that's great. So thank you. And I've decided that I am going to keep these series going once, not every day, not every other day, but more like once a week at least, just to honor that this issue has kind of struck a chord. And so I want to keep talking about it and sharing my experience and sharing hopeful stories. And if you guys keep commenting, I'll work on those with you as well. Until the COVID-19 stuff is resolved. And then if there's still a need for it or a desire for it, we can talk about going beyond that as well. But I'm going to keep popping in here at least once a week, specifically about noisy neighbor stuff. So I hope that helps. And then announcement number 2, I decided I want to try this new thing called Try This Tuesdays, or maybe it'll be like Try It Tuesday, where guess what day? Every Tuesday, I'm going to come in here and share exercises or practices that I'm working with, or that I'm going to try for the week. And then I'm going to share my experience with you. We'll be practicing them together, and then we can share our results in the comments, and you can ask any questions you have about it, or you can share any like insights or problems you had with the practice. And then in the following week, I'll share my experience with focusing on that thing for the week, and then respond to your comments and share a new one. And I think that'll be really cool because I have shitloads of exercises that I use to manage my mind and to have a healthier, happier life. And I'm super excited to share them with you. So I thought we'll try this, Try It Tuesday, where I'll challenge you to try this stuff and we'll do it together. And then the biggest one, the biggest, most awesome announcement that I'm really excited to share with you is I am going to make it available to you to be able to work with me one-on-one. Yay! Okay, I love coaching. I have many coaches that I like and talk about on here and share. And it's fucking rocked my world as far as changing my thoughts and changing my life and managing my mind. And I've been wanting to do it myself for years. And now I'm doing it. And this is sort of like a soft opening for my coaching business. I wanted to offer it to you all first. So if you're liking this stuff, if you like what I'm sharing on here, if you're curious about more about like the practices that I use and how I'm transforming my life, and if you want more one-on-one individual support through the shit, you can do that with me. So if you're curious, email me at amandagoldmakesart, and that's at gmail.com. And stay tuned on that, because I'm going to be sharing a separate video tomorrow that's just about this coaching opportunity, what I'm offering and why, and how you can get involved to get more support in your life. So I'm kind of scared because it's new. It's something, like I said, it's like kind of like a baby dream of mine where I've been dreaming about it for years, and now I'm like, here we go, let's fucking do this. So let me know what you think. If you're interested, send me an email, amandagoldmakesart@gmail. I'm going to have really rad introductory rates and tons of bonus gifts, and I'm just really excited to give back because coaching has totally changed my life, along with many other things, but this is something that I feel called to start to do as well and offer it from my perspective. And yeah, I'll talk more about it tomorrow. I'm really excited. So again, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing really well on this Sunday. Hope you're finding lots of peace and comfort and good stuff in this world. It is all around. Check it out. And thanks for being part of the good stuff that's in my world. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, adios.